Hello, everybody. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. If it just stops echoing through my Mac, that would be fantastic. We're back with the debrief, everybody. How are we all doing? Everybody's still a little bit somber from last night's 1-0 defeat to Sunderland. We're going to get into the meat of it with the debrief. Obviously, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We did do an audio-only podcast over on the Patreon today with Gabe. If you want to access a little bit of podcast content for when you're going to work, from when you're driving home from work, on your lunch break or whatever, that's over there. A cheap £4 a month. I've got bonus stuff on there as well. And we've got a video from earlier on today. If you've missed out on all the content, get the badge in. Says Lucas. Lucas, let everybody know about the Patreon, mate. Let everybody know. Yes, Lucas. Evening, Connor from New Hampshire. How you beans? Evening, everybody. Hi, Jace. Hi, Luke. Hope you're doing okay. Hi, Connor. Hope you're all good, mate. Hope all is well with everybody in the chat. We've got Oscar coming in a little bit. Gabe is not about for this one, but we have a very, 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 very exciting guest on the show, as always, and someone who I'm always happy to bring on. It's Senor Brown, Mr. David Brown. How you doing, mate? All good?
Yeah, I'm all right. I was better after Blackburn, but I'm all right, mate.
Yeah, mate. It's like the old days, me and you, just getting nattering on about Leeds United, mate. What's good with you anyway? What's new in the world of David Brown?
Not a lot, mate. Not a lot. Just like everyone else, putting ourselves through the pain of the Championship again, aren't we? Yeah, I'm sure we'll all get into it tonight. But last night wasn't great, was it? Let's be fair. There was a lot of poor performances. I mean, I think it's telling that when you look at your social medias, people are not fingering the right word. People are pointing the blame at a variety of people, which I just think tells the story.
I love you coming on, mate. I love you coming on for this stuff.
Yeah, I think it just tells the story that there was blame in a lot of areas last night.
Yeah, 100%, mate. And obviously, I want to get your thoughts on. I really wanted to get you on this evening because, obviously, you give a very, very different point of view. You go to most games as well, which is massively advantageous because we sit here being armchair supporters, literally, and watching it on the box. But yeah, mate, it was. Thought it was a struggle from moment one last night. To be honest with you, the game plan was there from Sunderland. We're almost turning around and thinking, we're going to get through this at some points. But I just want to start you off straight off the bat on the lineup, mate. Obviously, Spence coming in, starting at left back. Obviously, not a natural position for him, but seeing as though he had 8 weeks off, I didn't think he did a bad job, to be honest, mate. Obviously, that was the significant change last night. How did you sum up the lineup last night?
I totally agree. I think it was the choice we all expected, and I think that's the only thing that's coming out of this is, as fans, we knew the lineup before it came out.
Yeah.
So opposition teams are going to know the lineup before it comes out. And I was having this discussion with quite a few people last night on the socials and whatnot. It's difficult because after Blackburn, we're not bothered about the lineup being the same. It's only following a defeat. But the lineup is very predictable at the minute. There's no beating around the bush with that. We know exactly what the front four is going to be. We know the midfield too, the back four and the keeper. So other teams, when preparing for a game against Leeds, don't have a lot to think about in terms of selection. I thought Spence was brilliant. I thought he did really well. To say he's been out for so long, I thought he slotted in really well. Got forward a lot.
Glad you've said it.
Why has he been getting a bit of stick?
Yeah, he has. Been getting a lot of stick, and I don't understand it. I really don't. But yeah,
no, I don't think he did much wrong. He got forward.
Keep hearing lazy, which I don't really understand. But there we go.
I didn't get that census myself, but like I said before, people are putting the blame at a lot of people's doors last night, which I think tells a picture that there was a lot of bad performances.
Would you have, an Archie? I mean, me and you have had, and you've got a quite a unique point on Archie, mate, and we'll explore that in a little bit. But with regards to the yellow card that Archie received very, very early on, would you have instantaneously looked at maybe putting Archie left back? I mentioned before, and I've seen this a couple of times online as well, and I really agree with it, that central midfielder can create better angles And I think Archie at left back would have been a decent option. It'd have put him against Abdullah Bar, who wasn't really having that much of the ball. And Spence at right back, I feel, would have dealt with Jack Clarke a little bit better. I thought that maybe was a change that could have happened a little bit earlier on, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Sam Byram does really well. He tucks in to midfield quite a bit. And he does make that extra man in midfield as Sam Byram when he's playing there. I mean, before the game, the Jack Clarke, Archie Gray battle scared me a lot.
Did it make you feel a bit? Did it make you feel a little bit better that he did against Mavididi? Because I'm a little bit with you, Brownie. I thought Fatawu in that game, the Leicester, the lad on the other side who was doing really hit the bar and knew that unbelievable strike. I didn't think Mavididi went against Archie that much, really, when you watch it back. It was Archie okay against him, but I thought Jack Clarke, every single time he faced him up, he just went at him, didn't he? He was stopping, then he was going again, stopping, then going again. And he was really, to be fair, Dodds, the temporary manager, had clearly just said to him, look, he's a young lad, get at him every single time he's out of position. It felt like they were doing that to a massive extent.
Yeah, I think Jack Clarke terrorised him, to be honest. And when he got booked after about 25 minutes, I was a little bit worried. But in his defence, he managed him quite well for the rest of the game. Didn't dive in and showed a good maturity. But I do think he was helped out by Dan James a lot. I'm sure we'll get onto the Dan James Nonto situation. But defensively, I think Dan James was always there. It felt like he was always there to be an extra body in front of him, which may be why Dan James gets the nod above Nonto, to be honest, at the minute. But yeah, it's a tricky one with Archie Gray because he isn't a right back and he is doing I'd say a good job there, but it does get twisted up a lot, which he naturally will do playing at right back, in my opinion. I think the Middlesbrough goal at home, after a minute, he gets twisted up. The Norwich goal at Carrow Road, he gets twisted up. And I think Jack Clarke, he's on a yellow card after 25 minutes in it. So I think it is an area that teams look to exploit, knowing that he's not a right back. But most good players in this league are wingers, aren't they?
Yep.
Your better players are your wingers. And I think Luke Ayling found that in the Premier League last season, that your wingers are your tricky, danger, fast-flying machines. So it can't be easy for him. But I think once again, left back talk in January is going to be quite highlighted. If we do bring one in and Jed Spence is available, I think putting an actual right back there would be beneficial, so to speak. But again, I don't think Archie Gray was one of our poor performances. I think he did okay. I think there was a good 5 or 6 people I'd be highlighting before getting to him, to be honest.
Oscar, welcome to the party, mate.
How are we, lads? Sorry, I'm a bit late.
No, it's all right, mate. We're used to being late on this channel, so you're not an anomaly. But yeah, mate, we were just discussing the lineup last night. Obviously, you'd texted me and said, when Jed Spence at the start, I think he'd bumbled the ball through their right side. It might have been Tri Hume's legs and went on a bit of a run. Got a message from you, and you got a little bit excited about that one. And me and Brownie were just discussing it, and there's been a lot of, you'll have seen it on Twitter and just everywhere, really, on a couple of forums, that he's been getting a mixed response. Me and Brownie were just talking about it. I don't know what he could have done more, to be honest with you. A left-sided player creating a lot of space. He was creating a lot of angles last night as well when we couldn't move forward as well. And I actually thought Daniel Farke, me and Brownie, and we'll get into this, the proactiveness of his substitutions, and were they the correct substitutions? But I actually thought he got, in the end, and won't go into it too much because we'll get through this game in phases, but he got the substitution wrong. I thought Jed Spence was just coming into the game, and I thought overall he did all right last night.
Yeah, I agree. I thought certainly, start of the game, first sort of 10, 20 minutes, I thought some real touches of class. It wasn't a vintage Jed Spence performance, but in terms of playing at left back, I thought he was solid enough. Got forward on occasion, but I did just think we should have switched him to right back against Clarke pretty early on. As soon as Gray got the booking, I thought physically you probably want Spence on Clarke, because Clarke, every single time, I thought it was more he was doing Gray for pace, to be honest, on down that side of the pitch. And I don't think you can't beat Jed Spence for pace as easily as what Jack Clarke was beating Archie Gray for pace. And I think, you kind of alluded to it yourself, mate. If you put Gray to left back, Barr's a good player for Sunderland, but he's nowhere near the same level of threat as what Jack Clarke is. He's not going to go to Barr as much as what they are to Clarke. So Gray would have had less to do on that booking. And I think at that point, and it's understandable, when Gray's on a booking against Jack Clarke, he's just going to stop going for tackles because it's the sensible thing to do. You can easily pick up that second yellow. How many times have we seen it with fullbacks for us over the last couple of years? And I just thought Jed Spence should have switched over to that side. Not even just for the defensive side of things. I thought Spence and Somerville down that left-hand side, it looks great on paper when you've got those two play on the same side, but is it a little bit of a case of they're a bit too similar to play on the same side? They both want to do the same thing. They both want to carry the ball. I thought both were okay in the game, but I didn't think it was as good as what it could be. I'd probably rather have Spence trying to do what Somerville does on the other side of the pitch, to be honest with you, and have, either James or Nonto ahead of him. I did think that switch should have come sooner. And even if it wasn't putting Gray to, left back, you could have maybe put Pascal to left back or something like that, or try something different. I think the bottom line is there's serious left back depth that needs addressing in January. There's no doubt about it. We can't just, Sam Byram's not a natural left back anyway, but if Sam Byram's injured, who isn't even a natural left back, we literally haven't got anyone at this moment in time. Junior Firpo is also constantly injured as well. So it's definitely a concern, and it's definitely something we need to address. And we can't, go for the second half of the season without a natural left back, or at least some kind of depth in that position. But what I'll say is I thought Sunderland were good in the game. I think tactically Dodds got it spot on. I think it's probably, we had no space to play in. They totally nullified Rutter and Somerville. I don't think there's been many games this season where you've seen both be quiet. Maybe you've seen Rutter have some quiet games, or games where the finishing's not been sharp enough, and Somerville maybe had more quieter games. But the fact that both were quiet in the game, great credit for Sunderland in that regard. And it's a tough place to go, let's be honest. Stadium of Light, no matter where they are in the table, it's always a tough place to go. Premier League, Championship, League One, it's not an easy place to play in. But the thing is, we need to start picking up points in these kind of games. I think in these midweekers, we seem to be really struggling for some reason. Obviously Stoke, Rotherham, now Sunderland. Whether it's a psychological thing a little bit, I don't know.
Well, we were just, Oscar, we were just doing something early on, me and Gabe, just over on the Patreon, and we were going through a couple of the, the form. And, as me and Brownie have spoken about, the home form is superb. What is it, 7 on the bounce? It's the
I
best.
think we'll be the best team in the league at home. In terms of form.
I think Ipswich are the. I don't know if Ipswich might be the best, but I think we're level pretty much. But in fact, it might be us, to be fair. But in fact, it will be, because Ipswich, we've beaten Ipswich there this season, so we will be the best. But the problem is that the points are away, and Brownie was saying to me on a separate message, it's 2 points per game Leeds are averaging. Well, away from home, it's 1.45 points per game. It's nowhere near as, and I think, listen, I don't know what it is away from home with Leeds. I don't know what's happened, but obviously at home, in my opinion, in phases anyway, we just seem to dominate games still, and there's a lot of momentum there. But away from home, we seem quite easy to set up against, in a sense. Yeah. And I thought, listen, I didn't think Blackburn...
if we win games away from home this season, we've won them in moments. Like even Blackburn at the weekend, it was a professional performance, but you can't tell me that was a vintage, Leeds United away performance that on against Blackburn. We did the job we needed to do. It was nice and solid, but we won the game in moments. 2 moments on the counter won us the game. Similar, away at Norwich. We were 2-0 down in the game, but it sort of opened up again for us. We won the game in moments, and even Millwall, we won that one comprehensively in the end. But again, it's counterattacks. We didn't really absolutely dominate the game from minute 1 to 90. And the thing, what I'd say with Leeds is at this moment in time, at home, we're kind of being 9 or 10 out of 10 in most games, not just for the result performance-wise, we've been pretty much spot on, dominated most games. And away from home, we've had, some okay performances, but we kind of go from being sort of like a 10 or even like an 11 out of 10 performance-wise to a 4 out of 10. And I think the difference with Ipswich is they are consistently 7 or 8 out of 10 every single week. I think Ipswich at their best are nowhere near as good as what we are at our best, but they're more consistent. I think that's the bottom line of it at this moment in time. And they just seem to find a way, Ipswich as well. Obviously they've gone to Sunderland this season and won, I believe, I think on the first game of the season.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those. I don't want to get too negative about it, because as Brownie's kind of alluded to, 2 points a game, typically we'd be top of the league at this moment in time. I think I can't remember what channel or Twitter account it was, but they showed the table this time last year. Burnley were on 38 points. We're now on 41.
But have we got to? But have we got to? This is and listen, Brownie, I'll come to you for this, mate. Have we got to get out of this mindset? Because I am seeing this a lot. I even think you said it to me, mate, and I've said it to people as well. Yeah, but last season, Burnley. Look what Burnley were doing at this point. It doesn't mean anything.
No, I agree with that. I agree.
But I'm not just saying that because me and Brownie have had this chat as well. It means nothing. I mean, we're in an anomaly season where Leeds United have to be perfect. We have to be beyond perfect right now because we've got 10 points, maybe 12 points tonight to make up with two teams who aren't consistently losing games. So Brownie, where does I'll tell you what, mate, I'm going to ask you a general question. Where does this turn for you? Where does it turn that Leeds are going to be able to claw this back? Because we had a little bit of a moment, a little bit of a spurt where they lost to Ipswich, lost to West Bromwich Albion 2-0, and we had an opportunity. Obviously, on the Friday night, we didn't take that opportunity. Obviously, drawing to Rotherham. Where, in your opinion, mate, does this need to change? Because there's a lot of Leeds fans who are saying it's Norwich, it's Leeds, and it's Leicester in that period for Ipswich. Does it need to turn in that point for you? And obviously, Leeds winning all those games in between.
I mean, it needs to start turning at some point. I still believe that we can make the top two. I still think we will. I feel that on our day, and obviously your day's not always there, but we are the best team in the league. We've proved that by beating Leicester and beating Ipswich away. Away from home.
Brownie, sorry to interrupt you there, mate, and I'm being a bit rude here, but what does that mean? What does that mean? You know, on our day we can beat.
It means that we've been to their home place and beat them.
But we are where we are.
Pound for pound, team against team, we beat them. We are where we are because of this August. The start we had was horrific. That's the whole thing in the summer with the planning, players not wanting to play, all the clauses in the contract. It set us back a month. And a month's worth of games.
Brownie, Stoke, Southampton, Rotherham, and last night were when we were at our pomp. You know,
Birmingham, Sheff Wednesday, and Cardiff at home. We weren't. And
true.
There's 9 points, and you're in touch. You're in the top two with them. Away from home, we've been beat at Birmingham. Awful. We got beat at Salford, by the way. Away from home, we couldn't break down Hull. Southampton, we were horrific. We were 3-0 down by half time. Other people tell me. Stoke.
Terrible.
Yeah. Rotherham, I mean, that performance still irks me because it just we seemed to be so arrogant that night, just thinking we can turn up and...
Yeah, I agree.
And win. Norwich, we were 2-0 down at half time. These are at home, it's nice. We've got all the ball. We're constantly attacking. Teams are happy with a point. They don't have to come out and really do anything. They'll sit back. Can we get a point? If not, it's Leeds away, so we can sweep it under the carpet. Away from home is different. And I mean, I saw a tweet last night that every single starter last night was not alive when Yeboah scored against Liverpool in '96. So are we... I don't want to say young and naive, but away from home, do we need something a little bit different? I think of teams that have gone up, and look at Burnley. They had Barnes, like horrible, horrible people playing up top and being a battering ram. And I just think when it's nice and things are going okay and we're getting attack after attack after attack at home, everybody wants the ball, everybody looks a player. Away from home, I mean... How Jorginho Rutter was still on that pitch on the 75th minute, I have no idea.
Well, Brownie, can let me just read this comment out, which is Chronicles, who sent a donation, and I want to get onto this. Is can we play Rutter at 10 when he's more suited and by a proper 9 if Perot does not suit it? Lack of creativity in the centre is a problem. Now, thanks for your donation, Chronicles. There's a lot to unpack there, and it's Brownie. I just wanted to bring that in as soon as you mentioned Rutter. Can we play Rutter at 10 when he's more suited? I think he's back. Chronicles is bang on in terms of where Rutter's more suited, or an inverted winger, as me and Oscar have spoken about. You buy a proper number 9 if Perot does. This was always, I think, the issue with Perot is he's not a natural number 9. You'll never see him off the back of a centre-back. It doesn't happen. He's always drifting back to receive the ball deep. This is the problem. For me and Brownie were talking about on voice notes earlier, there's no way, I think, that Farke says, you're the number 9 for this game to Rutter or Farke. He just says, go out there and you decide between you both. And they fluctuate between them. I think that's Brownie, I think that's a problem. I think in every team, you've got to have a standard number 9.
Well, when do you see Rutter at his best? It's when he's getting the ball and running forward with it. His hold-up play well, I'm not even going to call it hold-up play. There wasn't any hold-up play. We couldn't get up the pitch at times because I think he got bullied by the centre-half. So I can't remember him holding the ball up once. And I sent a tweet out and I didn't really get much backlash. Does he get away with it because he's such a likeable person? He's always got a smile on his face. He's always fist-pumping the crowd. Our number 9, when you're going for promotion, has to score more than 4 goals. Has to. In December, he has the amount of chances we create, he has to be on more than 4 goals. And I mean, half the time, I don't know what Rutter's going to do with the ball. I don't think he does. He's such a flair. He's got such great feet and flair about him. How can you make runs off him if you don't even know where? I don't even think he knows where he's going half the time. So for Perot, I've got a little bit of sympathy for him last night in particular because the ball just wasn't sticking. I don't know how he can get into the game and make runs off a striker when it's just bouncing off him constantly. That's for me. I mean, you could throw that at the whole of the front four last night. I thought Somerville, yes, he wanted the ball a lot, but I think he lost it quite a lot last night. It just, for all the good the front four have done recently, I thought last night was a poor one for all 4 of them, to be honest. But on the flip side, I thought Sunderland defended really well. I do think Sunderland was set up, like Oscar said earlier. I thought they were set up so well. And when Rutter went off and Perot went down the middle, we had more joy. But I do counteract that. But they had already scored. They were 1-0 up and they had something to hang on to, so they could let us play a little bit more. But I do feel that when Perot went down the middle and Bamford, away from home, you need someone to hold the ball up. And I just don't think Rutter is that person. He's more cutting inside, running with the ball, not back to goal. Home, yeah, it's easy. You're going to get loads of ball, like I've said. But away from home, I mean, it's there in black and white, the scores away from home in comparison to our home form. I just think we need something different away from home. And the predictability of the team, the youth in it. It is a young team. Let's not get wrong. It is a young team. I do think we need something more away from home than just giving it to Somerville and hoping he goes and does something, because as we're seeing now, he's getting doubled up. He's getting swamped as much. He's getting kicked from pillar to post. I don't know if we'll get onto the F at some point, but I felt he didn't really help us last night. It was just allowing players to just constantly kick us and all sorts. I mean, how Jack Clark didn't get booked for the one on Nanto, I'll never know. But I think we've got to look in-house before we start making them sort of points towards the referee, because a good 7, 8 of them. Put it this way, if you get the team on Saturday against Coventry and there's 5 or 6 changes, not one of them can go knock on Daniel Farke's door and say, hey, how can you drop me?
Whereas Ipswich, we were talking, Oscar, just me and Brownie beforehand made 5 changes last night and we're still able to grind out a win.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And listen, I agree. I think we probably do need something, a different option. Maybe not so much, going straight away and saying, right, he needs to come out of the team and we need to do something different. I just think just have a different option on the bench, even if it's just someone's come on for 20 minutes, half an hour, to try and turn these away games around a little bit for us. Because you look at the bench, it's mostly either, young players, the likes of Matteo Joseph, who I think is going to be, I think he's got a lot of good credentials about him, but he's not really what you want to be relying on, for a promotion battle. I think it's different. Archie Gray playing in midfield, I think it's very different, coming through in midfield to what it is as a centre forward in the team that's pushing for a promotion. I think it's a lot more difficult, a lot more pressure, especially, when we could be replacing, a £35 million man or, a £10 million man, because effectively we play with 2 like 9.5s, don't we? Because Rutter's neither an out-and-out 9 or an out-and-out 10, and I don't think Perot's either an out-and-out 9 or an out-and-out 10. So
I haven't got a clue what Perot is. I don't get what
yeah,
Perot is.
I think what you were saying before about Farker kind of, I don't think we actually even play for centre forward as such. I think Rutter's more of a kind of like a false 9, and Pereira and Rutter just kind of interchange a little bit. But I do think what we're going to have to do is either bring some more physicality into the team. Brownie alluded to before about, even, I'm not saying, an Ashley Barnes as such, but someone like that who's a bit, maybe a little bit more nasty, someone who can just hold the ball up, and just be a bit more physical, maybe even someone who can just press from the front, it's an option. Or you bring in the number 10 who can knit things together and we keep the ball that way. I think we either need to have someone who can hold the ball up or someone who can just shred the ball, into, because we're going to have more and more games this season where teams just sit off us, because that's the way to play against us. Blackburn went at us toe to toe, tried to have a bit of the ball. We hit him on the counter. I think you're going to find more and more this season. We're going to have games where we have, 70, 75% possession, etc., etc. And we're going to have to just break teams down, because I think that's the way to play against Leeds.
So definitively, what would you do then? Would you look at bringing in a 10, or would you look at bringing
I'd probably
in
go more 10, to be honest. Because I think the way we play, I think either will have an impact on us. And that's what I'm saying. If someone mentioned Chris Wood there, I'm not necessarily saying someone like a Chris Wood, would be a decent option to have. Just someone in the box, when we're chasing a game, 15, 20 minutes to go, where we can just throw balls into the box and someone can attack them. I know it's not how we typically play, but having something a little bit different from time to time is good, because it is when we score early in games, like at home, we look like the best team in the league. We probably are the best team in the league in those situations, but away from home, there's no doubt about it. That is where the pace gap between us and Leicester and Ipswich is coming from those away games where Leicester are doing the business, Ipswich are doing the business, but we're not quite getting over the line most times away from home.
Do you know what else that helps as well? So Sunderland pressed us. Whenever we had the ball, they seemed to be so high on us. We can't go long, because we've got Dan James, we've got Somerville, and Rutter's not winning a header. We can't go long. We can't bypass that press away from home. Can
I put Brownie? Can I put something in there? So obviously you work in the game, but for me, if you can't play through a press, right? If you're coaching and you can't play through a press, and you're knocking the ball long to two small wingers, because teams, let's be honest, naturally have small wingers anyway. Unless I don't know, I guess Sunderland, they've got relatively big wingers in Barr and Clark, for example, but not notoriously the small wingers. Okay, if you're not going to win the ball, no problem. But if you've got players in and around the second balls, in and around that winger, and you can win the second balls, I don't mind that. So then you're bypassing a press. You might not win the first ball, but you might win the second ball. That's miles better than trying to play through a press and getting nowhere.
Yeah, well, the thing I took away from last night is, does he trust his bet? I don't know if he trusts him to come on.
Gruev's pointless. Gruev's a pointless signing. I don't mind Gruev. I think he's a good player. But there's no point in us bringing Gruev in. I don't get it.
It looked so leggy, that performance last night. It looked so tired. And I seen a tweet this afternoon, and I'm useless with crediting people because I just see it and scroll. 9 of that starting 11 last night have started the last 5 games in 18 days. It's no surprise that they're leggy and tired. And then if ever there was a game where, because I was on the flip side in the last debrief saying, how can you take a Somerville or a Rutter or a James off when they're producing numbers they are? But last night, if there was ever a time that you could have took any of that front 4 off last night, it was last night. And he just seemed so reluctant to do it. So does he trust the people that are coming on in their places to do the job? And I took away last night that he can't do. He can't do.
No, definitely not. I mean, you look at. I think, to be fair to Nonto and Anthony, though, because they've not started the game since Stoke, have they? Neither of those two have started. They can't have done. I don't think.
Can't recall
and I think that's that Stoke game that's done it. To be honest, in terms of we were sort of rotating a little bit before then, and then that Stoke game happened, and it was like, ooh.
But
Yeah,
what
we're
was
gonna have to just put a full
the
team out.
thing is with that Oscar, that made no sense. That rotation for me made no sense.
Well, for the Stoke game.
See, I'd agree with
that.
I'll get slaughtered for this by everyone, and I really don't care. And I know he missed the penalty in that Stoke game, which was horrific.
Here we go.
We were better when Bamford came on at Stoke. We started creating chances. He created 2 himself. He won the penalty. He put 1 on a plate for Somerville. It's a different type of way to play away from home. I'm not saying he's the answer. I'm really not. But when he came on at Stoke, we were better.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
There. I watched it. So anybody can argue all they want.
We started to create in that game.
We were better when he came on because we had someone who could hold the ball up away from home.
I love that. I was there. I watched it.
It's glaringly obvious.
But the thing is, I'd say about Bamford is
hold the ball up.
He's not even with that. You know, he was putting himself about, but he's not put himself about like he did under Bielsa. You know, he's not got that physicality for me anymore. You know, he can just spring and win headers and stuff like that. I do agree with you though. In general, I think having that different option, he's better at doing what we were getting him to do at Stoke than what Perot would be at doing that. For me, no doubt about it. But I still think we need to get. I think it's personnel now in terms of just. Not even so much with the starting 11. I'm happy with the starting 11. I think in terms of starting 11, you're not going to get much better than what we've got at this moment in time. But even if it's just having a different option off the bench, either in that 10 role, just to help us keep the ball and Fred passes through and just like I'm not saying we need to go and get a Pablo Hernandez because it's realistically we're not going to get Pablo Hernandez, but even like a Saiz or someone like that, just someone a little bit different who can just take the ball on the turn and just get us playing away from home and show up not so much fearlessness, but just be able to just keep the ball in the tight areas. It's a bit more physical. It's a bit more intense and that lot. I think we need something a bit different, or you go something a bit more physical. Just having that plan B is good. I think
I knew I'd get slaughtered for that comment. Our away form is horrendous. I don't get how you can't see that away from home we're nowhere near as good as we are at home. Look at the games we've got beaten. Not even. I mean, Hull, Birmingham. We didn't even score.
Hull were the better team in that game as well.
So if you can't see that we need someone down the middle who can hold the ball up and be a battering ram, then it's not me on crack pipes. I'm telling you that.
But I think a lot of what I think I mean Richard Davey made a good point there, Brownie. I saw you nodding your head as well. It's a Bamford type of player, but not Bamford, and I think that's the perfect
that's exactly
play Bamford.
That's what I was trying to say, but I just couldn't get those words out my mouth.
Yeah,
I'm not saying play Bamford. I'm just saying away from home, you need someone to hit. You need someone to hold the ball, and Rutter isn't that.
But Brownie as well. The thing is, we're talking about things here. So you're talking about Rutter. I'm talking about Perot. The problem is you can't stamp who our number 9 is, as we've all said. So you can't. Who's our number 9? Is it Perot? Is it Rutter? They fluctuate clearly. So for me, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking Perot's way too absent in every single game. And he doesn't connect play. Is he if he's part of the midfield, which I'm seeing now, if Perot's part of the midfield, we're getting outnumbered in every game in that midfield. And we're doing well in phases and we're getting through most games. But if he's part of the midfield, he's not being a midfielder. And if he's part of attack, then I see him drawing back into midfield. So I don't know if he's an attacker. And I'm seeing Rutter do the exact same. I don't know what is going on there at the minute. And like Oscar said quite rightly, when Pablo Hernandez used to play in that hole, Pablo Hernandez was a number 10. He was a connector. He connected that defensive play that Leeds had to the attacking play that Leeds had. And he'd come up with worldy finishes as well. And just beautiful, creative, innovative bits of play. And for me, that's what we need right now. The left back is the left back at one point really got me angry, and then I started laughing at it, and then I started totaling up who we've had at left back over the years who've not been an actual left back. Alioski, Berardi, Dallas, Ayling.
We've needed a left back since Charlie Taylor went in 2015 or something daft. We've said we've needed a striker for the last 5-6 seasons.
Yeah,
we haven't got an out-and-out 9 because I'm not saying play Bamford, so I don't know why people are saying that. I'm not saying play Bamford. I'm not saying he's the answer. I'm just saying he's a target.
I don't. Is he? But people are Brownie. People are saying in the chat that Perot's a 9. I don't see him as a 9.
Not in this type of team. He's not.
He's not a 9.
That's why Farke doesn't play him there. You know,
I'm going full circle. This is what I mean. You can get away with it at home because you've got so much of the ball. You've got players moving all over the place. You've got teams coming and just sitting and thinking, we'll counter-attack you whenever we can, but if we just don't want to get done 5 or 6 at Ellen Road, a defeat at Ellen Road's not it's going to happen. It's not a bad result. I can get away with it. And managers will be thinking, I'm not going to get hammered for getting beat at Leeds. Everybody's getting beat at Leeds. So we've got the ball. We're playing different players in different positions, interchanging all over the place. Away from home, we don't have that luxury. We do not have that luxury away from home. And I know Bielsa was the thing who said, when plan A don't work, use plan A again. But there's an interesting question for people in the comments. If you put the championship winning team against this team, which wins?
And as well, Mr. Anthrop says here, he's never played as a 9. Your arguments are as a 9. No, but he has played as a number. There's no instruction for Perot to be in the 10. There's not. I'm not having it. He moves too fluidly into a number 9 position throughout the game. Rutter's not grabbing that number 9 spot every single time and being on the shoulder of the defender. It changes up. So there's no way. The difference is with Perot is very, very unique. He's very, very unique. And I remember me and Oscar having a chat when we were signing him. He's very unique. He's not your Ross Stewart type who is just a number 9. He drops deep. Very much of the Harry Kane profiles where he drops deep consistently. There was points last night where he was playing right back and left back and a defensive central midfield trying to come and collect the ball. He does that in every single game. A lot of his goals for Swansea were on the edge of the area. He's not a number 9. I just can't. I can't get my head around that, and you know it's obvious. And I'll give credit to Daniel Farke. I don't think that's Farke's fault. I really don't. I think it's just the type of player we bought in Perot.
There's a good comment from Lucas about Farke's in-game decisions. That game was in the balance last night. Someone was going to win it. And Sunderland blinked first with the subs, brought on Patrick Roberts. Then they did another sub. And it helped them. I thought it swung the game when Patrick Roberts came on. There was a time when he got in behind and Dan James had to bring him back. Pritchard got in behind Ampadu and Ampadu had to pull him back. They went for it before we did. And they got the reward.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. And I think the overall point is, I think away from home, we just need something a little bit different. And on the bench, we haven't really got that at this moment in time. You know, I think for me, I've no real issue, long term this season with Perot and Rutter. But if it's not working, it'd just be good to have something a little bit different where you can put on a natural 10 or a natural 9. Because if you look at it on paper, we play a 4-2-3-1, but realistically, we play a 4-4-2 with 2 false 9s. Really, if we're being honest, because as I said before, Rutter's not a natural 9, Perot's not a natural 10. They're kind of playing in the same areas to just kind of move around throughout the game. They both kind of got free roles as such. So just having more natural, options in that 10 or 9, I think will massively help us. And it's what Leicester have got, and it's what Ipswich have got at this moment in time that we kind of haven't. But what I'll say as well is that we were saying before about being more physical in that lot. I saw a couple of comments saying that, let's go back to like Jesse Marsh's style. That's not necessarily what I think we're saying. Look at Man City at this moment in time, Arsenal. They're willing to go long. Man City from time to time are fine going long to Haaland. That's why they signed him, because he's a physical, absolute monster. Arsenal are happy to do the same into Havertz or Jesus or, whoever, Declan Rice, whoever it is. They're happy to go long. We don't just have to play out the back short. We can have that option to have someone who can play with his back to goal and go a little bit more physical from time to time. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not. It feels like every team's got to play out the back now, and I'm no problem with us playing out the back. But if we do need to mix it up, when teams do press us high and we can't get through it, there's nothing wrong with trying to go long, but we can't do that. As Brownie said, we can't do that at this moment in time with Perot and Rutter. We need either someone who can play with the back to goal, a bit more of a target man up top, or maybe a physical 10. I don't know, just something that we can sort of change things up a bit, because we've got decent options off the bench, but they're not going to change the picture.
Sheffield United did it. They had McBurney playing like a battering ram, and then Billy Sharp would play at home more. It's just away games are different. They're different games, and I just think we play the same way whether we're at home or away. And well, the form away from home is our Achilles heel at the minute. It really is.
Well, let's have a little bit of a a quick look ahead to Coventry anyway, because I know everybody's looking at the games coming on now, and obviously looking ahead to Ipswich. To Coventry at the weekend. It's going to be a bit of a tough game. I think Coventry have turned it around a little bit, sixth in the form table. What are your score predictions for this one? Brownie, we'll go with you first. Been the guest, mate.
I don't see any problems with us at home on Saturday. I really don't. 2-0.
Yeah,
2-0
I'm going to go with the 2-0 as well for this one. What do you reckon, Oscar?
I'll go 3-1. I think I'm the same as Brownie, to be honest. I think the only issue potentially is that Ipswich psychologically could be 13 points ahead before the Ball's kicks on Saturday. That's a horrible, it's a gut-wrenching thing, that.
It's mental though, isn't it? And this is the Championship,
Yeah.
because leaving Blackburn, we were 4 points behind them. And I think that's the other kicker, that it's gone from, oh, do you know what, we're getting close, to now being bang, you're 10 points behind. And I think that's the other sort of like thing that's dampening everybody's spirits a bit at the minute.
That's it. I mean, every time we've closed it, straight away Ipswich have pulled away again. It's like the next game, the next match day, the next whatever, the next week.
Yeah.
Ipswich and Leicester have pulled away. It feels like every time. Stoke, Rotherham, last night, Southampton away. It feels like every time we've kind of said it's back on again, or it's on, it's well and truly on. It's the next week we just kind of pull away again. It's almost like for the next couple of weeks, we just need to stop looking at the league table, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? I think Farker kind of said, I'm not looking at the league table until match day 40, but I'm not having that, to be honest with you. There's not a chance that's there's not a chance of that, is, let's be honest. But
the big thing for me on Saturday, the team selection will be very interesting. It's another game. It'd be 6 games in 21, 22 days. I'm really intrigued with the team selection. I think Nonto will come in. I don't know who for. I think Nonto will come in.
Could Nonto play 10?
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, obviously a lot of the talk's been about James coming out, but to me, if you're comparing it between James and Perot, I think James is in the better form of the two. I'm not saying there's a lot in it, but I think James, because I think for me, I want Spence playing right back. No doubt about it. I want Spence playing right back because that's his best position. We've brought him in. I think he is the best right back in the league when he gets a run of games. I think the way he carries the ball like a winger, he can stay wide on that side. Somerville doing the same on the other side, and I think I'd want to keep James in the team just to
I wouldn't be surprised if Rutter came out. I don't think he's been great for the last few weeks, to be honest. I love Rutter as well. Such a nice, likable person, but he missed 2 howlers against Middlesbrough. He got an assist at Blackburn because the Blackburn player fell over and couldn't get back up. He lost the ball initially.
I'd probably rather Rutter stay in than Perot, Brownie, to be honest.
I'm not. It's mental that Perot's got double the amount of goals than Rutter.
I know. I guess he's great.
Nice headache to have. It's a nice headache to have, but this is the other flip side, that when do fans expect us? Expect's probably the wrong word. Are we in the promotion hunt because of Fark, or should we be in it anyway because of the squad?
Is this also? I don't know if this is true as well. I've seen this a couple of times. Is this true? I know he's got 5 yellow cards. Is he out for this game? I don't think he is.
He's fine.
He needs 10. He needs 10 for a suspension now.
Yeah. I
what I will say though, in terms of Ampadu, is he's had a bit of criticism last couple of games, and to be fair, he's not been fully at it. Ampadu, probably since Leicester, I'd probably say, to be honest. Cut me out about 5-6 weeks ago. He's still been decent, but in terms of the standard he's been at, he's definitely dropped off a little bit. But I think this is going to happen because we keep playing the same team every single game. I think we have got to start trusting the squad a little bit more. Trying Archie in midfield, trying Gruev from time to time, Nonto. I mean, Jaden Anthony's, I can't remember when he last started the game. Stoke, I think it was, wasn't it? He hardly started the game before that as well. We've got to try something. Otherwise, we're at risk of burning out. This is a period of the season where you need rotation. We saw how many times we see under Bielsa, pretty much every season, would be great first 3 or 4 months, and it'd be this time of year where every single season we go on a poor run. We all remember, the season we went up, we started losing to Wigan, QPR, Sheffield Wednesday at home. It was all around this Christmas period when we had all the games going thick and fast because Bielsa didn't rotate either. And listen, it worked well in that Bielsa team, but it's a totally different team to the Farker one. I do think we need to start. I'm not saying change the whole team for Coventry, but if we can put Nonto in, or if we can put Gray into midfield and try something different, or just something different. Just keep it fresh from time to time.
There was a sub last night that baffled me as well. The Kamara one coming up. Ampadu was on a yellow card. They kept breaking on us. And it was Ampadu that came off, who I thought that was a strange one as well, to be honest. Like, him staying on with a yellow, I was I was quite baffled with. But it's interesting that a lot of people are saying that we're where we are because of the squad rather than manager. That's interesting.
This is a squad that should get, for me, with the way Southampton have been behind us. They've not been particularly consistent either. It's not like Southampton have been, completely firing. I think other than Leicester and Southampton, I don't think there's any team on paper that's better than us, to be totally honest with you, or competitive with us. We should be, pushing for top 2 minimum for me. If not finishing it, we have got to close that gap. Otherwise, if that gap gets any bigger, the noise will get bigger. That's it. If
we were in their position, 10 points clear, I think we're thinking we're home and hose, to be honest. So it is a sizable gap, and going full circle to Connor was 2 points a game. If we finish in the 90s and don't go up, then fair play to both of them to do it. But
and I think this is the
all thing. Right. We'll win the playoffs anyway.
I still think it's there for us, and like the comment just said, it's one defeat. I think it was just the manner of the defeat that there were so many poor performances. Oscar was right. It was a tricky game, and I think I said to my brother before the game, I'd have snapped your hand off at a point. 4 points from 6 away from home, irrelevant of what Ipswich were doing. Yeah, the gap might have got bigger, but it was a tricky game. I mean, they're in the top 6, are they not? And that puts me on to my last point for people. Everybody always says I'm the positive one. The entire top 6 we've played all the way from home. That's the other. When you asked me earlier, Connor, about where can it swing, the whole of the top 6 have to come to us. We've been to all them. We've been to Sunderland. We've got West Brom coming up in the next week. They won last night, which put them into it. But when I had this stat in my head, Cardiff were in there. Blackburn, getting muddled up. Blackburn were in there. We've been there. We've been to Sunderland. We've been to Southampton. We've been to Ipswich. We've been to Leicester. They've all got to come to us, which, with our home form, should be a good thing. That's where I see it swinging, if it does swing, mate. But we're not in the worst place. We'd have all taken 41 points from 21 games.
No doubt about it. Especially the start we had. If you look at the, it is that first 5 games, isn't it? Well, we took 6 points from the first 5 games. It's what's done us. If we had a fully settled team, we beat Cardiff, don't we, on that first game of the season? I don't think there's any question about that. Sheffield Wednesday, the Sinistera whole saga happened the night before that Sheffield Wednesday game. It didn't help matters. It was such an unsettled. And I know it's not. I don't want it to be the hard luck story, and no one's going to feel sorry for us. We have still got to make them points up, but there is other factors. Ipswich were a lot more settled going into the season. I still think it can be done. I still fully believe we can make up 10 points in over half a season. I still think we've got the right 100% got the right man for the job. In terms of there is no one more experienced. There's no one more experienced in terms of putting on a monster run of form. He's done it twice at Norwich. 97 and 95 points.
Ironic that our only win in that first 5 games was Ipswich.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. But imagine if we hadn't have won that game. It's how much scary it would be.
Start of the season is It's a handicap. 1 win in first 5. That's why we are so far behind, and we've done brilliantly to get our way back into it. And the run of form's been excellent. It's first defeat in so long. It's like I've said, it's just the manner of the defeat and Ipswich getting a late winner, coming away from Sunderland. You see Sam Morsey scoring an 82nd minute winner away at Watford, and then you see the goal and you think, "Oh my God!" And
it's a shocker, isn't it?
That all combined together is just why I think us Leeds fans are a little bit deflated and doom and gloomy at the minute.
Did you see the miss as well from Rajovic for Watford, their centre forwards?
Unbelievable.
Stink. It's a 1-1 as well.
I mean, Coventry missed a penalty against them last
Yeah.
weekend.
The thing is, though, I think I said it a couple of weeks ago, Ipswich, they're putting a hell of a lot into every game, physically. They never win games easily. They're always fighting to the death in every single game. And you just think physically, a bit like what it did for the Bielsa team, as the season goes on, is that going to tell physically for them? One injury to a Leif Davis, for example, one injury to
Millwall beating Leicester.
Connor, what we were saying before the show off air, that it might be Leicester that we catch.
Well,
we're talking about now. I mean, I can remember Southampton. They went back-to-back promotions from League One to the Premier League, and I think Norwich might have done it. That might be, or it might have been Leicester. There were two teams in short space of time that went back-to-back into the Premier League, and Ipswich are running on momentum. And it could be Leicester that we catch. It really could. We're all talking about Ipswich, but is that purely because Leicester were in the Premier League last season? As we speak, Southampton are about to score. So the Championships, it's mental. There's I think I saw there's 72 points left to play for.
Thing is, as well, Leicester are probably in the worst form of all of us. If you look at it, like last couple of weeks, they've lost obviously against us, Borough, drew at Wednesday. They're probably actually in the worst form, and it's one of them. It's a Championship. Literally anything could happen. How many times you've seen teams just fall away?
In the grand scheme of things, the Championship's better anyway.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I prefer this. I prefer just doing the chasing rather than listen.
When we've lost Somerville, Rutter, and all the likes next season,
Joe Rodon's not coming back.
Yeah. I'll come back to you.
The other thing I said last night to my brother was, I've not seen us win at Wembley. I've not even seen us score a goal at Wembley. So we've got that to look forward to if we need to do it that way, because.
Let's leave it on that. Leeds are going up, whatever means necessary.
I do believe that. I do think Leeds will go up this season.
Yeah. I mean, there has got to be
a failure if we didn't.
Yeah, massive failure.
Let's
leave it there, everyone. Thank you so much. It's been nearly an hour. Make sure you like the video. If you want an extended podcast, we've done one on the Patreon. It's been an absolute pleasure this afternoon again, talking all things Leeds. We're back with some more content tomorrow, as always. Guys, Brownie, thank you for joining me. Oscar, thank you for joining me. Really appreciate your company tonight, and I hope everybody's enjoyed it. And we'll be back with hopefully some more positive Leeds content very soon. We'll see you in a bit.